Hello and welcome to this diary of an autumn spent making clothes, meeting local sewists and taking part in an amazing craft market in the Italian countryside. My name is Marie and I have a tiny slow fashion business I'm trying to get off the ground. I'm French, but I live in Georgia and I recently bought a ruin in Italy with my partner. So we had to spend 2 months in the country for some admin reasons, and I decided to use that time to do as many sewing related things as I could. So let me take you along and show you everything I managed to make and do. First up, I had to turn our Airbnb studio into a sewing studio. So we rented this little studio on a family's vineyard, and I decided to move the kitchen table to the bedroom area so that I would get more natural light for sewing. My friend Isabella lent me her late grandma's sewing machine, and our host kindly gave me an ironing board and an iron that I could use during our stay. And now I just needed some fabrics. Since I knew I wanted to be sewing in Italy, I had actually been looking at secondhand fabrics on Vinted before coming, and I had found this listing from a seamstress who was about to retire and therefore selling most of her fabrics. So she sent me some pictures so I could choose exactly which ones I wanted. And once we got to Italy, I couldn't wait to go pick up my parcels and discover what all the fabrics looked like in real life. I put them in the wash and then I was ready to start sewing something. This amazing craft market I took part in last year was just about to happen again at the end of the month, so I really wanted to get some pieces ready for it, and I decided to start by using one of my patterns I brought with me to Italy. It's a pattern I've been working on for the past few months for a dress that could fit as many different body types as possible. I've made a few different versions, but the design features that worked the best were the gathering just above the bust so that the dress can fit people with different bust sizes, a dropped shoulder yoke to accommodate different shoulder width, and a keyhole with some ties so the neckline is fully adjustable. So back to my pile of fabrics. I picked 2 I thought looked really nice together, but they were quite small, so instead of a dress, I decided to make a blouse with my pattern. Initially, I wanted to do a scalloped collar, but I didn't really like how it looked, so I went for a more classic one. I finished the neckline with some binding, and here is my blouse all done. I was very happy with it, but it was a bit short on me because I'm quite tall and I really didn't have enough of that green fabric. So now I really wanted to use a different fabric and make a longer version with an extra tier. I always like to change something in my designs when I make them again, so I decided to try adding a strip of pleated fabric to my sleeves. It was the perfect occasion to try the fork pleating technique. If you've never heard of it, you basically use a fork to help you fold the pleats while you're sewing. It was really quick, but it was also very satisfying and the pleats looked really even, so I strongly recommend that technique. And also the thick pleated fabric really gave my sleeves a lot of structure, so they were even nicer and puffier than usual. I constructed the rest of the blouse as usual. I added my extra tier, and here is the final result. This beautiful landscape is the natural park where we bought our ruin. It's full of hiking paths weaving around these incredible sandstone rocks, and at the bottom of the rocks there's a restaurant serving delicious food in the middle of the woods. So we spent a lot of time in the park over these 2 months, but we also explored the nearest town where I met some local sewists. This is Clara. She randomly saw my craft market video last year and she messaged me to say she was a local designer. So now that I was finally back in Italy, we met for a coffee and then she took me to her studio and showed me her pieces. She also works with secondhand materials and she's a painter, and sometimes she paints fabrics before turning them into clothes, which I thought was amazing. We met again a few days later for the birthday of this amazing shop. It's called Attacca Bottone, and it's a tailor's shop, a slow fashion brand, and a workshop space all in one. So they organize a lot of events to teach people how to mend, sew, or crochet their own clothes, and they also sell their own beautiful garments made in-house. And now let's go back to my own sewing studio because I have to keep making pieces for the market. I realized that in order to have more chances to sell in person at the market, I should probably offer less expensive items. So I decided to buy some secondhand shirts and upcycle them to offer more easily affordable pieces. The seamstress on Vinted had sent me this old bedsheet with a beautiful botanical print, so I decided to cut out individual plants and sew them on the shirts as patches to create a kind of wearable garden. I set my machine to a short and wide zigzag stitch and just followed the outline of the cutouts, which was really relaxing, and I thought the results looked really nice. So this was my first garden shirt, and then I made a second one with this green gingham shirt, but I don't actually have any footage of me wearing it, so just try and imagine it done. And in case you're looking for more inspiration on how to transform clothes with patches or embroidery, these are a few of the artists I follow and love. I am constantly blown away by their creativity, so I thought I would share, and you might be too. Okay, so this is a really quick one, but I had to include some footage of making this little rabbit for my friend Camilla's newborn baby. I made it from a cotton blanket I used to make this dress last year, and I completely free-handed everything, just following my inspiration. It might look a little more like a kangaroo than a rabbit, but regardless, I think it's very cute. Since I wanted to offer more affordable pieces at the market, I started thinking about making bags. Tote bags are great, right? They're really practical and they can fit a lot of things, but they can also get really heavy, and you always have to make sure they don't slip off because you're just carrying them on one shoulder. That's why crossbody bags are amazing, because you can comfortably move however you want without them slipping off, and their weight is better distributed across your chest. But on the other hand, they can't fit as many things as tote bags. So I decided I wanted to try and combine the best aspects of both and create my ideal crossbody tote bag. I had some of this quilted blanket left over from last year when I used it to make a jacket, and I thought it would work really well for a bag. So I started by doing a lot of research on existing designs and constructions, and then I prototyped my own version in a miniature format. Basically, I folded some fabric in 4 and cut out this shape. I opened it up to sew these seams. Then I matched the seams in the center and sewed the bottom, and that was it. So I moved on to some life-size prototypes and made a few adjustments until I was happy, and then I made a paper pattern and finally cut it out from my beautiful blanket. I assembled the bag exactly like the tiny prototype, but I just added some binding to finish all the seams as I went. I hand sewed this magnetic button closure, and then I added my label, and here it is all done. This bag is super comfortable to wear, and I thought my mom would love this design, so I actually decided to send it to her for her birthday and to make a second one for the market. After making both, I actually realized that to be the perfect crossover between a tote bag and a crossbody bag, my ideal bag had to have a zipper closure so that you can cartwheel in the fields and dance and jump around and not lose any of your things. So I worked on a new version of the bag. This time I got rid of the handle on my pattern and I made one bag from my main fabric and one from my lining. I then sandwiched a zipper between the two and turned everything right sides out. Next, I created a strap and attached it to the bag, and finally I made some bows and tacked them into place at the junction between the strap and the bag. And this is what it looks like. I'm so proud of this bag. It's really practical, but it's also so pretty and comfortable. I really think it's the ideal crossbody tote bag, and I'm working on releasing a pattern for it, so watch this space if you ever want to make one for yourself. And now it was finally time to get ready for the market. Isabella and Gibi helped me stamp, cut, and glue all of my labels. In addition to the pieces I made in this video, I also had these 9 other pieces I brought with me from Georgia. I showed the process of making most of them in my last video, so you can watch that if you're interested. On the day of the market, we packed everything in the car and drove to the hills in this mysterious fog. We got to the venue, which is this beautifully restored farmhouse where they organize a lot of events and workshops. I set up my stall with my pieces, the sewing machine, and also my laptop playing my YouTube videos so people could see my process. I also had this box full of greeting cards that were handmade by Givi's mom. They're all completely unique and honestly they're just perfect for any occasion. People started arriving and my friends also came, so I was very excited to show them my stall and all of my pieces. Later, I also took some time to walk around and meet all the other craftspeople. Everyone was selling such beautiful things. It was just really nice to get to know them and their work. And we also had a lot of nice food and roasted chestnuts. Everyone who came was really nice, but not many people were actually buying. They were mostly interested in discovering everyone's work, but I still sold a few pieces. So first, my friend Camilla bought my quilted bag, and she started using it straight away, saying it was perfect to carry some of her essentials as a new mom. And later, Julia, who is an amazing ceramicist who was also selling her creations at the market, said she fell in love with one of my garden shirts, so she bought it and then she kept it on, which made me so happy just seeing her walk around the market wearing one of my pieces. And finally, Rosa Maria, who is the mom of Emma, who organizes the market, bought my bubblegum top. She said she loved how playful and sculptural it was and just had to have it, which was just so sweet of her. So what about you? I'm really curious to know what your favorite piece is, so please let me know in the comments. If you want to buy any of them, most of these are still available, so you can check out links to my shop below. I hope you enjoyed coming along this sewing adventure in the Italian countryside, and if that's the case, you can like, subscribe, or check out my other videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.